And the U.S. has now taken a number of significant sanctions actions targeting Russia and Russian individuals and entities since late February, especially. So maybe Lawrence, you could maybe provide it'd be great if you could provide the OFAC perspective there in terms of what the implications of those sanctions are for transactions and business involving crypto assets. Maybe what the picture is in terms of the scope of those sanctions and how they impact the crypto space.
Yeah, happy to. So let me start first with an overview of our recent Russia actions and then talk about how specifically it implicates the crypto sector. So at a very high level, David, as you noted, we've taken a series of unprecedented actions over the last several weeks related to Russia. And that includes sanctioning Russia's largest banks, immobilizing the assets of the central bank, targeting dozens of oligarchs, prohibiting new investment in Russia, among many other prohibitions. And one of the key messages that we've been conveying to this industry is that these sanctions apply to all U.S. persons, right, including those in the crypto space. And we actually issued guidance specific to this point, basically addressing the question of whether these sanctions apply to those in the crypto space. And it's a very clear answer. The answer is yes. All U.S. persons are required to comply with OFAC regulations, right? And that goes without saying, regardless of whether the transaction is denominated in fiat currency or virtual currency. And what we say in that guidance is that U.S. persons, including virtual currency exchanges and other service providers in this space, are generally prohibited from engaging in or facilitating prohibited transactions. And that includes virtual currency transactions where a sanctioned bank or other person may have an interest, right? The other thing we note in the guidance that I think is important to highlight is that U.S. persons, U.S. exchangers cannot help a foreign person or foreign exchange do something that the U.S. person cannot do themselves. What that means is that a U.S. exchange cannot help a foreign exchange do something that the U.S. exchange couldn't do themselves. That's called prohibited facilitation, and so we issued guidance to emphasize that point. And I think that also brings up another important point to emphasize for this group is with respect to foreign exchanges. While our regulations apply to U.S. persons, I think it's important to note that foreign virtual currency exchanges, they also need to be attuned to OFAC regulations because they too could be liable under our regulations if they cause a U.S. person, for example, to violate our sanctions. I would also note too that the executive order that we've been using recently to issue these sanctions also has a specific provision that allows us to target entities that help circumvent U.S. sanctions, right, including by using virtual currencies, typically the order. So that's another area to highlight. I think the bottom line really is to emphasize that those in the virtual currency space, domestic as well as foreign, really need to be vigilant against attempts to circumvent OFAC regulations and should take a risk-based approach to ensure that they're not engaging in prohibited transactions, as there could be civil or criminal penalties that result from that. And then, of course, for our part, on the OFAC side, we're closely monitoring any efforts to circumvent our sanctions in the Russia space, including through the use of virtual currency, as some of our recent actions have highlighted.